Padres, all of you, to make sure that you could come. And we're really delighted that you're here. Tonight, we're gonna talk about neighborhood expert training. Why you're all here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna hear from Jerry. Tell us how it fits for the development of the Newtown Family Center. Greg. Where are you?
Just got it.
Okay, there he is. And Andres are gonna tell you about their experience with the training you're gonna take. And I'll describe the neighborhood expert role, and then you'll hear from the trainers themselves. They're due to come on at 6:20. Well, hopefully we'll get there. Dr. Andy's gonna lead us through questions and answers, and at the end of this meeting, you'll get a chance to let us know the next step that you wanna take, okay? So, let's get started by getting to know each other real quick. Turn to the person next to you, doesn't matter if you know them or not, and tell them one thing you're proud about yourself or something that nobody knows about you. And it'll be. You got Okay, so, all right, now, two of you know something that nobody else knows. But the rest of us don't know. We're not united in that knowledge. You know, and also, how many of you didn't want to tell something that nobody knew? Trust this person next to you. Tell them that. That's kind of what we're here to talk about tonight. How do we communicate for unity to create community? Gotta build trust. Gotta ask at the right time. Gotta give people the time to think, right? So, you know, Jerry has begun opening a unifying conversation so that she and her team can learn what is truly needed to make a family center in Newtown really useful to the neighborhood, right? So would you please tell us very briefly a little bit more about how you see the neighborhood experts helping to co-create the development of the family center?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
So the reason why we're here, or how we got this idea, is because, as you all know, I'm the founder of Dreamers Academy. I saw a need in Sarasota County public schools. A lot of children were not, getting educated, you know, succeeding in public education. And now we're here in Newtown. We're expanding. With that expansion, we've bought 12 acres on Leonard Reed. It's much, they didn't want to sell us less, so it's much more than we needed. So I went to the Department of Health, my friend Nathan is there, and said, what can we do? And he's like, oh, we have to do a family center, and that's what we need, you know, and he had 500 pages of things he wanted me to read.
Read them all.
But anyway, that's what started the conversation. Our friend Carlos there, he wasn't a friend before, but we met him and we were instant friends. Said, oh, I can help with that. And he assembled a big group of all of his friends, which were, you know, younger, not older people, but, you know, there's a lot of elders that are already well established. But people that were doing great things, but nobody, you know, they weren't connected. So we've been having these conversations, and we ended up doing a community workshop, which a lot of our parents were invited to, and have a report that we're going to share with everybody in this room. This all aligns with Sarasota Strong. I've been involved with Sarasota Strong for 4 or 5 years, and that trauma-informed community development framework that Father Paul has created. It just, everything fits. It's the same thing, but with different words. Neighborhood experts are people from the community that are knowledgeable about what's going on, know their neighbors, have the historical perspective, the generational perspective, and perhaps are not connected with the power, with the systems. This will be, what we're trying to create is that bridge to get the resources, the money, the connection to a lot of services and programming that are already there. But there's a barrier, there's all kinds of barriers for different people, it's different things. So neighborhood experts is tapping into the talent that all of us in this room have, and that a lot of other people that are not in this room have, that you know. And bringing them into the conversation, training them, and perhaps also getting them employed, training them to be consultants, to work in a lot of these organizations that have that are providing the services, so that we can actually access more people and lift everybody. Anyway, I think, is that enough?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Mary actually was signed up to take training with Father Paul, and COVID came
Oh,
and she
yeah,
couldn't come.
yeah.
But Andres and Greg have been to training, and I'd like each of them to share their experience with you, and maybe they'll make it relevant for why you might want to take the training. Andres?
Sure, actually, I have the book that,
The 500 pages you read.
That
We're going through it.
right there is the Trauma Informed Community Development, Framework Manual. And it was,
Don't be scared.
no, yeah, this is something that they gave us at the training, but it was something that I found to be really, really enlightening in the sense that it's very detailed in everything that it explains. But the heart of it is that they want this model to be something that can be incorporated into different places, right? Because this is something that was established in Pittsburgh, right, for like the community there. And what they did was they got people from the community to be the spokespersons of the community, right? They had people to speak for the others who are their neighbors. And so what they did was they put it all together in such a way where those chosen people get to participate in this development, right? And so I think that it's a great way to incorporate it into Sarasota too. Like the trauma informed community development model is something that can be incorporated into any community, regardless of where you are. So I don't know, Greg,
Thank
you want to
you.
add to that?
Greg, would you tell us how it personally made a difference for
Yeah,
you?
for sure. So I'm the founder and executive director of a nonprofit organization. So when I went to this training, I was looking to ways to improve the way I interact with my demographic. And what I learned, one of my biggest takeaways was that they have a program, it's the HOPE program, and they focus on 4 key aspects in the community to create a healthy community. And if you focus on these 4 communities, it's almost impossible for a community not to be healthy. And it's health and wellness, creating opportunities, placemaking, and empowerment and engagement. And with the placemaking, right now, you guys all being here, you're all a part of that. And the placemaking aspect of it is that making sure that everybody in the community feels like they have a place in the community, no matter what they have to offer. Even, by perfect example is we're living in a social media age. So there's communities in Pittsburgh where kids have neighborhood social media to kind of show off what they're doing in their community. So they have TikTok pages and that's just a way to engage the younger people in the community and give them a place and make them feel like they have something of value to offer. But anyway, that's one of the biggest things I took away was the whole program, and I actually implemented pieces of that into my nonprofit to this day.
And did you tell me that it was really the part that struck you was that people got their own voice heard?
Yeah. The whole micro community concept is empowering the community from the ground up instead of using the trickle down effect, which we know usually refers to economics, doesn't really work. Is this anticipation that if we give all the resources and money at the top, it'll trickle down to the community. And the same thing with information and anything else. They kind of flipped it and they're just giving this resources, information and everything directly to the community and empower them. So like that, they could actually create what they want their community to look like and envision and actually dream about what they want the community to look like.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of one thing that I really enjoyed of the speech that Father Paul gave, was that they spoke of like, it's not always about investing like economic capital, but it's about the social capital that people have, right? It's about the fact that those who are there every day in the community know what happens in it, and that itself like has weight and power.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's not just about like how much money comes in from the top, but also those who are there every day.
And then how well connected you get to everybody else who's around you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go through this a little quickly. We can go through it again after we talk to Father Paul, need be, but I want to describe the neighborhood expert role. Okay, you're here. And know your level of interest in a part-time position, which will pay $20 an hour for up to 10 hours per week for up to 20 weeks. We want to work it out so you can make the money without losing any of your present income and still get the job done. We also will work out which areas it makes sense for you to cover, and you'll sign a contract, so you both know what's gonna happen. After we talk to each one of you, we'll get everyone back together as the Newtown team of neighborhood experts and kick off the action plan. So what does the job actually look like? Some people will only speak Spanish, others only English, and some may be good with technology and others with pencils or a voice recorder. Some of you can walk for miles, others are better sitting and talking at a central location. So as a good team, always capitalizes on each player's strengths. We'll all be working together to figure out how we can best reach people across Newtown, street by street. You might be going door to door, maybe to meetings, gatherings, events. You will be meeting people you don't know. Whatever it takes, the team agrees fits with your role and game plan. That'll be, and the goal will be to use the skills and the tools you learn at training to build trust, build relationships with people you don't already know, so that they'll give you their time and honest opinions about the services they'd like to see in the family center and their aspirations for Newtown. So if we all play well together, there may be a few permanent paid positions that arise out of this work to keep it going. That's the role. Does everybody get it? Okay, I'm sorry we went through that fast. We can answer questions about that afterwards. Do I feel Father Paul? Hey. Well, now they're gonna actually tell you the good stuff. I'll get out of the way. Welcome.
Well, hello. How is everyone? Can you hear us okay?
Oh, hold on one sec. We gotta get you louder.
Uh-huh. Can you hear us? Check 1, 2.
We can hear you. It's just, oops. Hold on.
We had an outage, so now we're recovering.
Did you hear us okay?
There we go. We have an incredible turnout here to learn.
Wonderful. Can you hear us now okay?
Yes.
Yes. My dear brothers and sisters, what an honor it is to be with all of you virtually here this evening. I have to tell you, so my name is Father Paul Abernathy. This is my wife, Christina. She also is Chief Growth Officer of the Neighborhood Resilience Project. And I have to tell you, we've been very much looking forward to this evening and to being with all of you here tonight. Our relationship with the great city of Sarasota and, of course, the Newtown community goes back some years now. We have been humbled by our relationship with the good people of Sarasota and Newtown. You have inspired us. You have strengthened us. And we are so encouraged by the extraordinary progress that you're making in your community. The Neighborhood Resilience Project is not about establishing or strengthening nonprofits across the United States. The Neighborhood Resilience Project is about a movement. And it's important to understand that the work that you're doing is part of a great movement that is sweeping across our land these days. And I will tell you that in the wake of this movement, we are seeing those who have no voice discover their voice. We are seeing those who have been broken and downtrodden lifted up and restored. We are seeing people whom the world said cannot be leaders become great leaders among their own people, leading their communities into a future of hope and peace and resilience and love. In just a month's time, just a little over a month's time, we will be privileged to be with you all in Newtown. I want to encourage you to be very ambitious in this endeavor. Do not think small and do not defeat yourselves, for you will be able to accomplish great things as you already have. And when we gather together in a month's time, we're going to come together in the legacy of our righteous ancestors who have achieved great things, whether we're talking about overcoming slavery and Jim Crow or that mighty civil rights movement that swept across our land generations ago. We are going to come in the legacy of healing and hope and resilience, and we will labor together in a very intense manner. Our time together will stretch us all. It will be rigorous. We will be tired yet invigorated at the same time. We have to learn what truly has weakened our communities while at the same time understanding the skills and relationships needed to build and strengthen our communities. We have to have a time to come together and practice these newfound skills together and establish that common vocabulary that will enable us to communicate in a way that produces a common community plan. We have to learn how to be strategic in understanding where and how to begin the most challenging elements of this work in our community, while at the same time wrestling with the possibility of catalyzing a social movement in the heart of our community. The work that you are doing, although it is local to you, I will tell you, the impact of your work will go well beyond Newtown. It will go well beyond Sarasota. The work that you're doing, I assure you, if you truly take up this yoke, the work that you are doing will impact thousands beyond the borders of your fine city. You will enter into this new movement, and you will find that if any thought these were days of trouble and tribulation, they will quickly be transfigured into days of hope, where people filled with enthusiasm, you will see accomplish unthinkable things. I'm humbled. We are humbled to be invited to your community. Every time that we are in Sarasota, every time we are in Newtown, we truly feel as though we are at home. And that is a testament to the gracious hospitality that has characterized who you are. This is your great strength. And I know that you will build on this strength to continue making Newtown, and indeed the city of Sarasota, a shining star for many across our nation to see. I don't want to speak too much more. I think that if there was any interest in taking questions, we certainly would be open to it. And more importantly, we don't want to disrupt your beautiful meeting that you're having this evening too much. But we're grateful for the time that you have offered us to be with you this evening. We're coming with gratitude for who you are, and we're coming with a deep sense of hope in who together you are becoming. And we are very much looking forward to being with you all very soon. And with this, if my dear brothers and sisters, if it makes sense to give an opportunity for questions, certainly we'd be open to it.
Hey, Father Paul, I don't know where the camera is, but.
Hey, Andy, how are
Hi.
you? So good to see you.
So good to see you. So who has questions for Father Paul and Sister Christina, who we can barely see there? Hi. Hi, honey.
I just want to thank Father Paul. It is wonderful to see you again. And you ignited a light in me last year, and that's why we're here working together. So I'm very excited to see this program kick off here in Newtown. Extremely excited to see you soon. And you too, Christina. I hope the kids are doing good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We're so looking forward to it as well.
Thank
Who
you.
else has questions? Are we going to your questions? Well, then, how did listening to this make you feel? Empowered. Anybody else? Excited, okay. And Greg has a question.
I do. I have a question. Can you give an example to the group of what, like if there was an incident that happened in the community, a traumatic incident, like what would the deployment look like, and how would the neighborhood project, and what does it look like in action?
What a wonderful, wonderful question. There's a couple elements to this. Firstly, there are these traumatic events that happen in the community, and when they happen, obviously they're dramatic, they're heart-wrenching, they're events that have consequences well beyond the day on which these events occur. And those traumatic events, they require a response. Now, often it is the case that communities, which are what we refer to in this work as trauma affected communities, and we're going to delve into this in a little bit more detail when we're together. But trauma affected communities, there's trauma in every community. My dearly beloved brothers and sisters, there's not the same levels of trauma in every community. It's important to understand that. And when we have communities that have this disproportionate impact of trauma, where trauma happens, one of the challenges becomes in these communities that it becomes only about reacting to the trauma. We have to respond to it. We have to respond to it. There are ways in which we as community members must really become the response to that particular trauma. How this looks, according to the Neighborhood Resilience Project framework, is a trauma response team that's really comprised of community members who are trained and able to respond. And we know that when things happen in Newtown, there are people who are already responding. The task really becomes on how well we organize that response. And there's a lot really to draw from, because we as a society have been responding to traumatic incidents in an organized manner for many years. It just so happens that a lot of the framework and methodology for an organized response to traumatic events really has not been applied to our communities, especially our trauma-affected communities. But you'll see it, for example, in the aftermath of hurricanes. You'll see it in the aftermath of terrorist attacks. You'll see it in the aftermath of sometimes mass shootings. These are the kind of incidents that are so large that maybe the broader government or society can't ignore them. And so there are teams that you'll see deployed with FEMA or Red Cross that are doing what we call psychological first aid. There's a lot that we know now about psychological first aid. The question is, how effectively can we adapt and apply that in an organized fashion to develop an organized response to trauma in our communities on a community level? Because the reality is that when trauma hits some communities, nobody is coming. I'm telling you this. You all know this. This is why we have to be the response, and we have to prepare ourselves for that response. Now, that's the first part of this. Now, here's the second part of this. We have to transcend the response. We have to go beyond that response. If we're a community that is only responding to trauma, then we're not in a good place. We have to be a community that is proactive in eradicating trauma from our community. We have to be a community that's proactive in cultivating, in developing resilience in our community. So if we look at COVID is a perfect example, because the whole world experienced COVID. Now, even though that's true, the whole world did not experience COVID the same way. There were some communities that were more resilient to COVID than others. And this is why we have some communities like, this is a national statistic, where we had some communities that had 2 to 3 times the hospitalization rate and 2 to 3 times the death rate. You know, if you look at African-American communities, Hispanic communities, they had higher hospitalization, higher death rates than predominantly white communities. And that my brothers and sisters, is simply because there was just less resilience in those communities. We can see the same, like, for example, in Hurricane Katrina came through, and there were some parts of New Orleans that were affected greater than other parts of New Orleans. Those parts of New Orleans were less resilient than other parts of New Orleans. So the impact of that hurricane was more severe. And what we have to get into is we know that when these incidents happen, when gun violence happens in our community, you know, we come from a community where gun violence at one time was a very large problem. You know, thank God, you know, we don't have the same levels of gun violence that we once did. We have, for example, over the past 3 years, we have had a 72% reduction in violent crime in our community. We're no longer on the list of the most violent neighborhoods in our county in Pittsburgh. And in fact, The city of Pittsburgh overall has experienced a 32% reduction in gun violence just over the last year. But this is because it's not just about reaction, it's about building resilience. We have to react to violent incidents, but as we build resilience, that's where we begin to see this kind of change where we can certainly withstand trauma in a better way, but we can also reduce trauma exposure on a community level. And this is where I want us to really embrace the idea of transformation. I've been in conversations in our work. We do a lot of work in violence reduction in our region as part of our our resilience building efforts, and we have a leading role in our region in this. And of course, we work with violence interrupters. And I don't know if you have violence interrupters in your community, but there are people who are trained to do exactly what it says: disrupt the violence. They say, well, we know Johnny is going to shoot Phil. We got somebody has to go talk to Johnny and tell him to put the gun down. And that's what violence interrupters do. It's very important work. But I've also noticed there's a tendency just to focus on violence interrupters when it comes to violence reduction. And the problem with just doing that, even though it's an essential reactionary effort, is that it just presumes that we're always going to have people that are disrupting the violence. When we know there's some communities that they don't have violence interrupters because they don't need violence interrupters. They just don't need them. There's just not a need for them. There's not this consistent threat of violence in the community. They don't need them. And what we have to understand is that this every single community has the possibility of becoming a resilient, healing, and healthy community. Every single community has the possibility of going a whole year without a homicide. Every single community has the possibility of a higher life expectancy. Are you all familiar? I don't know if you're familiar with this term, the death gap. Well, the death gap refers to if you go in Sarasota, I don't know the statistics, but I promise you this is the case. There are going to be some neighborhoods that have higher life expectancy than other neighborhoods. If you come to here, like where the Hill District in Pittsburgh, where we're from, where we live, where our organization, where our church is, in the Hill District, there's a 20-year lower life expectancy than Squirrel Hill, which is a predominantly white community, a mile and a half away from us. How is it in the same city, around the same hospital systems and the same doctors and the same whatever, we have a 20-year lower life expectancy? This is unacceptable. And I promise you that we can live as long as they live a mile and a half from us. And we have to believe in the possibility of change. And we have to, more importantly, understand the reasons why we're dying younger, the reasons why our communities are more prone to violence, the reason why some communities have higher crime rates, the reason why our communities have lower, let's say, the education achievement gap, lower academic performance. And I know in Newtown, you have some extraordinary efforts in that regard as well. But we have to understand that, and we have to go after these drivers of death, these drivers of trauma. And we have to undermine those drivers of death, those drivers of trauma, so that we can achieve that resilient, healing, and healthy community. And I promise you it can be done. So just as we have to react and respond to traumatic events, we have to do that proactive work to reduce and eliminate the very factors that cause that trauma. And whenever we come together and do this work, that's the perspective that we're hoping to engage in together.
Thank you, Father Paul. Did you hear anything there?
I'm Melanie Lavender and Father. what I heard was not only are we focusing on trauma, but also building small little communities within our communities to bring them together, right? I hope that I understand.
This is it. So if you look at resilience and how we build resilience, there really is a methodology to this. And one of the core interventions that you're going to learn is an intervention called a micro community intervention. So a lot of times it's real interesting. People look at they say, well, we got to do work in community, we got to build community. But when we try to do that, a lot of times it becomes a very challenging thing to do because communities are large. And you might notice that when you're in smaller groups, sometimes people will talk, and the larger those groups become, the less people talk. Especially because, like in our case, sometimes we have like large community meetings. If somebody talks, they actually might get hit by somebody else who talks after them. I don't know. That probably doesn't happen down in Florida, but up north, that happens on occasion. And so we don't have the opportunity to authentically bring voice into this. And community can be even further fractured in community meetings that have that kind of culture to them. But one of the things we have to do is we have to learn how to really engage not even the broader community. We have to do that, but to really start small in order to get big. I want to give you a statistic because we also have to understand where to begin. So if you look so we're in the city of Pittsburgh. Right now we're at a conference, not in the city of Pittsburgh, but we're from the city of Pittsburgh. In the city of Pittsburgh is in Allegheny County. Okay, Allegheny County, Pittsburgh. In Allegheny County, we have 30,000 blocks. There are 30,000 blocks in Allegheny County. The gun violence in Allegheny County happens on 0.3% of those 30 blocks. It is very isolated. It is very concentrated. It's about 90 blocks if our math is right. And if we look at this in any community, we can tell that there are corners of the community that are in need of extra intervention. There are going to be some parts of the community that have a strong sense of community, but there's going to be other parts of community that don't have any sense of community whatsoever. And when there's no sense of community, there's no resilience. There's a scientific term that people are throwing around a lot these days, ecosystem. And of course, what we mean by an ecosystem scientifically is basically the system that supports life. That's what an ecosystem is. Plants need sunlight, animals need food, whatever, however that goes. We all need oxygen. This is the ecosystem. But really, community is a very important dynamic in human existence. And in fact, all of us need community. Community sociologically is a very important element of human life, but not just like I feel like I'm part of community. There are different kinds of community that serve different kinds of human needs, but ultimately the community serves life. That's what the community should be. The community has to be that ecosystem that supports life. If we can begin to understand community as ecosystem, community as the system that supports life, because we often abuse the term community. We talk about community, but we don't often think, really articulate what that really means, or what is healthy community, what should a community achieve, what is the benefit, why is it needed for people to be part of community. We don't think about that so much, but part of what we're going to be learning is how to establish, even on a micro level, that community that supports life, the kind of community that really becomes an ecosystem in which people can thrive, the kind of community that is an ecosystem that is in reality resilience that enables us to withstand and even eliminate, eradicate, or undermine trauma together. And this is a key element of our learning together that we're going to be exploring.
So what else resonated with you that you heard? Yeah.
How you doing, Father Paul? My name is Curtis Evans. I think what resonates me is we don't realize we've been doing this forever. It's like Father Paul said, something happened. There's a small group that goes out. We just have never had the numbers to then be organized. Like you said, the violence disruptors. For 12 years, I worked with juveniles on probation. There was a young man shooting in the community. I'm out there 6 a.m. I think I'm by myself. There's 3 other police. There's some teachers from Riverview, but it's only a small group. Whereas if we have 20, 35 people, there's nothing we can stop. Everybody knows there's strength in numbers. I think one of our biggest problems in Newtown right here for each generation is we all say we don't want to deal with the youth. Oh, nobody wants, I don't want to deal with them, they knuckleheads. But if you really look at it, if you really look at it, each generation has been disrespectful. Each older generation has said that forever. We leave these kids alone, and we all know if you don't embrace the youth, they will burn down the village because you're leaving them by themselves. So I think for the longest time you have think on it, we're going to learn some new vocab. We're going to learn how to stop these things. It's going to be organized, and we're going to have more numbers, and we'll be more successful.
Brother Curtis, that's so beautifully said. You know, you're quoting, I think that that African proverb: if a child feels no love from his village, he will burn it down to get warmth. That's an African proverb, and that's very true. And one of the things that I'm so encouraged about you all is just the extraordinary depth of love that you have. One of the things that has really disturbed me over the years in our community and in other communities is just the number of people who come into the community who are not part of the community, who have no love for the community. I mean, you know, this idea to say like these, I've had this conversation with some people like these knuckleheads, and I say, well, who are you talking about? Our sons? Are you talking about our brothers, our fathers? You talking about our these prostitutes? Who are you talking about? Our sisters, our mothers? Is that who you mean? Because we have to love them, and our love has to be greater than our fear of them. This is one of the biggest challenges, and I've seen this in many different settings, from school settings to social worker or government agency settings, where people they don't love people in our communities. They fear the people of our communities. But I'm going to tell you, as you all know, it's real hard to be afraid of someone that we get real close to in relationship. Sometimes it's easier to say, oh, that knucklehead on the corner, and we could say that until we actually sit down with him and learn his name and hear his story and get to know his family. And there might be all kind of illness. There might be all kind of challenges, but that doesn't degrade his humanity or the humanity of that family. And we have to give dignity to them. If the world does not, we have to do that. And it has to start with us. And if we have that kind of love, if that love inspires a kind of commitment, there's a term we use in this work, in some of our especially our youth interventions. We have a framework for what we call relentless pursuit. We're not going after you just once. We will come after you again and again and again and again and again. How will we pursue you? Relentlessly. How are we going to pursue you? We're not giving up. We will continue to come after you. That's to learn that as a skill, to learn that as a framework is very important, because sometimes we have to learn how to do the right thing. It's not, even if we know, it's like I want to do that, but it's how do we do that? I want to pursue them relentlessly, but what's the framework for that? And that's where, Curtis, you're talking about just being organized and the power in that, and the power in numbers. And if you have a core group that has more love, that loves the knuckleheads, you will move mountains. As you know, Curtis, you will move mountains. That's the potential that I've always found in Newtown. That's the potential that I've always found in Sarasota. It is that love. It is that love, that exceptional, extraordinary love that enables extraordinary possibilities in your community. And now it's about organizing that love. It's about infusing that love into a framework by which you can coordinate transformation. It's about taking that love and building relationships with the other people who love in your community, and as in an organized, unified manner, making great change. So I'm humbled. I'm humbled by your comments. I'm humbled by the example that you set. Truly.
I think we have time for one more comment or question. Jerry?
Hi, Father. Thank you for being here. I've actually been traumatized by a statistic that I just this week. The last 20 to 23, 683 children were arrested. 183 of these under 17 were arrested in school. And of those, 52% are Black children. About 15% are Hispanic. The rate of Black in public school is only 9%. So huge disproportionality. But of all the schools listed, 25 children were arrested at Booker Middle, which is across from the school I found them. And that's in 1 year. Those are the ones arrested in school. I'm trying to get the numbers of how much of these kids that are being bused from Newtown were in this. So what I'm saying is that, to me, Sarasota is not a big place, and that's a lot of children, and that is the same year after year. So how can we not? The trauma is going to be generational forever. Mm-hmm. If we can't cut that number by 100%, as far as I'm concerned, that should be those should be outliers. So I just can't imagine that there's so many children that get to that point, and how many are on the verge. So we need this, and we need it fast. We need it yesterday, and I can't wait to have all of you bring all your friends and be neighborhood experts, and we can help Curtis, and we can do this together. So anyway,
I'm so grateful for your comments, and I'm so grateful for them because the truth of the matter is things have to change. Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter is this has to be about change. One of the important elements of this is that in some communities, change becomes so elusive because we don't have that unified voice. It's hard to really get that. There was another pastor in our community who taught me when I was young in my ministry. He said, these community meetings, he said, 80% of the people don't come to these meetings because 80% of the people are in survival mode.
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely true. And what we have to do is engage that 80% and help them discover their voice. They have a voice. It's about helping discover and empower that voice. It's about creating a community that channels that voice in a unified way with such strength and such undeniable power that it forces, if needed, forces change in systems that have been abusive for far too long, that have been disproportionately impacting certain communities for far too long. And I will tell you that you can absolutely turn these systems upside down. Change has to be the way. And I will tell you that I know that you will, Mark, as a measure of your success, not only how many incidents you responded to and how many children you have in your programs and how many people you've given food to, but I know you will, Mark, as a measure of your success, the reduction in children incarcerated by people who are afraid of these children because of the color of their skin. I'm telling you, they have more fear than they have love for these children. I know this to be true. And we cannot allow this to happen to our children, and to even use the language. It's not their children. It's not somebody else's children. These are our children. And I can't even understand how the people who are perpetrating these acts can sleep at night. I will tell you this. I was a soldier long ago in the Army, in the United States Army, and I fought in an unjust war. I fought in Iraq. We should never have been there. And I will tell you that when I was there, I learned the degree to which we can dehumanize one another. I saw with my own eyes. I'm telling you what we human beings are capable of doing one another and doing to one another. And when we do these things, we are losing our own humanity. Well, I will tell you, this movement that you catalyze must be filled with such great fire that it awakens the slumbering humanity in the people who are perpetrating these things on our children. And when you awaken their humanity, I pray that there will be an opportunity for reconciliation and justice in the truest sense. Justice for these children, justice for these families, justice for your community. And accept nothing less as a measure of success.
All right.
At this point, are we gonna let Father Paul and Christina go, or?
Does anybody else have anything you want to say? You want to say see you soon?
See you soon.
Bye. We can't
See, we
wait.
can't wait. We're so excited.
So much. Thank you.
See you.
Yeah, we're gonna do this thing.
All right.
That's right.
I love seeing the watery eyes, to be honest with you. It's impactful. It's impactful. And as part of the Dreamers cohort, I would really like to thank the Newtown Family Center cohort. I would really like to thank SRQ Strong, because this is what we meant by co-designing. That's what we learned. When we create that center, we want to do it with you. And this data that you are all going to go out and collect is gonna just make us go like this to them. This is Newtown. It's alive. It's alive.
And can I just say something to add to that?
Yeah.
Just to let you know how important it is that we do these types of assessments with our own community. Just a perfect example is 20 years ago, Sarasota didn't do an assessment on the community. And because of that, they haven't built any entry-level homes in Sarasota in 20 years. They allow the developers and people outside of the community to come in and dictate what the community is supposed to look like. So what they did is they created a community that doesn't allow for the people from the community to behave.
Does anybody else?
So
want to
that's how
say?
important it is that we assess and make this assessment ourselves or they do it for us and tell us what we need once again.
Will you join us in this effort? We're gonna pass out these profile cards to each one of you. Please fill them out. Let us know how you want to stay involved with this. If you know you want to be a neighborhood expert tonight, raise your hand. This is your packet.
Oh, yeah.
We are gonna schedule interviews with you and get this going. We're gonna make sure we have vegan food at the training. Anybody else? Oop, Amy?
And if you feel that there was somebody that should have been here and they were not able to make it, I know I've discussed it with Andy. We're willing to meet with them one-on-one. But they have to commit and at that point, but just know that it does include those who work in Newtown. You're part of this community because you provide services here.
Those profile cards are two-sided as well, so you have your information on one side and on the back is your option to check what your interested in.
Something happened here tonight that I don't wanna lose. I feel connected to each and every one of you because we all felt it.
Yes.
We all felt it. So please let us stay in touch with you. Please be a part of this.
And this is just a good time, honestly, it's a good time to dream, who doesn't love to dream? Like, we get to dream and start to dream all over collectively. And that's a good thing, who doesn't love that? And just to let you know, there's no limits to this, like, when we were in Pittsburgh. They have an actual camper that comes into the communities after a traumatic event. And the camper is filled with toys and coloring books for kids, it's filled with grief counselors for the people in the community. So who knows, you know, we could
Like, we were thinking of an ice
purchase a home.
We were thinking of an ice cream
Have a
truck.
resiliency home and, you know, we could have an ice cream tree, like, there's no limits.
If you forgot how to
No
dream,
limits.
it's your kids.
I'm really not saying this. I'm with Curtis. I'm a firm believer that we are ignoring our youth at a lot of levels. I was an educator at the SAISIS program in Riverview. And one of the things that my kids kept telling me is they don't feel part of this community and they live here. If you wanna know who can tell you how to dream, ask a child. Ask them what this, cause this is for the children.
So inside this envelope is information. It's that very quick description of the neighborhood expert training, a neighborhood expert position that I spread to you, and it's information for those days. It's where, when, how, all that good stuff. There's a phone number. Everybody knows Miss Helen. If you have any questions, give Miss Helen a call. When training comes, she'll be the one to be intercepting, you know, oh, my car won't start, or oh my gosh, I can't make it. But in the meantime, make sure we have your right contact information. Tell us exactly how to get in touch with you so we can set up those interviews and get moving on. Thank you. Does anybody else get it on the list? Anybody else who wanted information on the training, but doesn't necessarily want to be a neighborhood expert? We will keep in touch with you and give you all.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, and are we gonna be able to do name tags?
The email set up.
Yeah.
Phones,
The way
it's a great way to have it on your phone.
I thought we were getting this before session.
I have this. Oh, I see.
You can be-
If you have an envelope and you're able to see behind, I stepped on it. We have name tags for you for training if you wanna wait and get your name tags and print it out real quick.
Because now that's the way that
5
they
minutes.
communicate with you with everything, hello? But you're not the only one, I don't think it's an age thing.
And I would just like to say, because I think Betsy probably covered this, but, even if you're not interested in being a neighborhood expert in that actual job, there is a role for you in this project. So you don't have to be a neighborhood expert to be part of this project. So let us know if you want to be involved in some other way.
We can interview you first.
Does anybody who got a yellow envelope have not given me your profile card yet? Are these okay?
These are this side.
Perfect, thank you.
And he has one more right here.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. So inside that envelope is all the information you're gonna need about training. This is remarkable.
And I know I'm seeing. Put your vacation days now. Your vacation over tomorrow, Mr. Davis.
It's hard to leave after that, isn't it?
It's fine.
That's it. But it's all about music, yeah. We have to utilize that passion, but it's not. If that, if you go to the, I cannot even explain it, but it's like, and it's like, yeah, oh, that sounds good. And we should really use that.
Thank you.
This is one that many people speak. And we get up to the middle, and we're gonna take one quick shot. Where you going, Andy? Where you going, man? I'm going fast. Guys, hold on.
Somebody checked yes, but didn't fill out the front with their name. No way.
I bet they had a double.
Oh,
So they find.
So
y'all might find one that doesn't have the name.
Everybody's gonna get together and get a.
Guys, wanna sit right here in the front? Very good. You guys wanna sit right here in the front too? No, you sit. I'm just setting up some chairs and everybody wants to sit what you want. Yeah, that's all I want. Chair right here. There we go. The camera.
Yeah, I'm
Get up.
still here.
Wait. Put her in the middle. And a comfortable chair.
Wait a minute.
Everyone looking here. Right when I said look here, you moved.
Say,
Everyone looking here.
Say-
I'm gonna take a view on my. I'm gonna take a couple on my phone for you guys, so we have an instant in here. Everyone looking here. I'll take a few, all eyes open, everyone's smiling. All right, I think we got one good one in there. I need to run upstairs.